This is Shah Paul, and this is the second video of the series of the Flutter AR app. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about the main class, the login and sign up classes, and the reason that I'm not going to write some code, I'm just going to go through all the code, is because some people told me that they're in a urgent need of the code and they want the series to start quickly, they want the series to end quickly. So that is why I'm just gonna go through the code, and I am just gonna go through the code imagining that you guys have a little bit of knowledge of Flutter. So let's start. So this is our main class, and in this class, as you can see, I hope you know that this class only contains the code that is going to be run at the first when the project is started, and widget filter binding ensure initialize. These are some initializations that you have to begin with. And Firebase initialize app, this means that I'm going to just create a backend, just connect my backend with my application, the front end of the application. If you don't write this code here, you can write this code in your home class or login class, but the response time of your backend would be a little bit of different. There would be a lag in your backend. You might see a red screen saying that Firebase not initialized. So that is why you just initialize your Firebase when you start your app. The Stripe publishable key means that this is the key that the Stripe will provide you when you are creating a developer account on their website, and they will provide you with a test key that you have to put here. I will go through these uh, not publishable, Stripe publishable key later when we are covering the payment gateway. And after that, run app, get material app. In this app, uh, I'm going to be using getX as the backend. So this get material app means that it is still the material app but with configuration of getX. So this get material app means the integration of the getX with our material app. Now in home, I'm writing the firebase auth.instance.current user. I'm just in this line, I'm just checking that if the user is already logged in or the user has already created their account on my application, they will not go on the login page, they will directly go on the main page, the home page of my application. So Firebase auth will check the instance of the current user, and if it is null, it will go to the login screen, or else it will go to the home screen or main page. Debug show checked banner mean that the banner that you see on top right corner of your application of your cell phone, it is just going to be false, so that the application is good looking and there is no banner kind of things. The theme I'm going to use is light theme and dark theme, and the structure, the main default theme would be the theme mode of the system. And I'm going to cover the theming also when we are covering the themes of the application, and I will tell you all about these three lines. After that, the initial binding is default binding. So when you are working with getX, you have two options. Either you can make a application, you can make a controller classes, you can put the functions that you're going to need, the controllers that you're going to need, the variables that you're going to need in that particular class, and you can use them in your whole project in any class you need. To use the variables or controllers or functions from a controller class, you need to make sure that that controller class is initialized or it's been put into your application. So for these purposes, either you can you can write a line that for instance, if you created a server controller class, you have to put that class in your application, in your uh, any of the classes that you're going to use, any of the Dart file that you're going to use in for those controller classes. So for that purpose, for to not to write that put line again and again and again, we just make a default binding class. The default binding class, the name of the class is default binding, and it extends binding which overrides dependencies, and my dependencies are product controller, cart controller, payment controller, and auth controller. I am just you can see that get.put the product controller, the product controller of my class. I'm putting it in my application, and I'm initializing the controller class. Then I'm putting the card controller and I'm initializing, and payment controller and I'm initializing, and auth controller. So when you say that get.put, it will initialize as soon as that dependencies line, this line, default binding line, is when the all of the controllers in the binding class are being put in the application. But when you say that this line get.lazyPut, this means that this controller will only be initialized when you call this line in a class, and you want the variables or you want the functions of this controller in some class. I'm going to show you example of my login page and auth controller being working together, and you might understand it a little bit more. So after that, default transitions, transition dot right left to right with fade. This means that whenever I'm going to go to the next page, the navigation of the next from my previous page to the next page, this navigation will be a left to right with fade. This is just a kind of an animation. This just makes the application look cool. All right, so let's get to the login class of our application. So this is our login class. I didn't write the code too cleanly, so let me show you this class in the UI. This is the UI of our application, the login class. If I change the mode to dark mode, the application will change its colors, its scheme, and everything. Alright, so let's go through the login page, each line by line. As I was telling you about the controller classes, the binding classes, now as you can see that auth controller, I just have to find the controller because it's already been initialized. If I didn't write the default binding code, I might have to go through this like auth controller, some variable, and get dot put the auth controller right here. Now this would be a little bit heavier, and the profiler of the application or the RAM of your cell phone, your device be uh, would take a little hike at that point, because as you are initializing a controller, it will initialize all the variables, all the controllers that you have on the controller class in the controller class. So that is why just making sure to just finding the classes, we use the default binding. All right. After that, uh, this is a stateful widget, so that is why you might see some changes or something like that. Now I am just initializing a variable which is loading is equal to false. A boolean is loading is hidden is equal to true. I will show you what will happen when where are we going to use these two variables, and I am going to create a function which will be a toggle view of the password, which will convert the our obscure text to simple text for user to see the text. After that, we are going to return a scaffold with a body of safe area, and child would be a single child scroll view. Well, this is because we use single child scroll view so that there's no render flex error at the end of the application, at the bottom of the application, and our class is also a scroll view. When you are using a device that is not responsive to your code, that is smaller in screen, and you have coded for a large screen, your application might cause you some reflex errors from the bottom, and your application might not look good. So that is why we just put the whole application, the whole class into a single scroll child view. There's also another reason. When you click on the keyboard, as you can see, there's the buttons at the bottom of the keyboard. These two, Google and phone button, these two buttons are hidden when we click on the keyboard. And if it were in a debug mode, you would see a run reflex error. But as we've used single child scroll view, you can see that this whole page will be scrollable, and there's no run reflex error. So after that, there's a container that has a column in which there's a text that says login first. This text right here, and it is font size 26 and font weight is bold. After that, there's a column that has a text field of email with keyboard type of email address, and the controller is in auth.email. Now auth, what is auth? Auth is the controller class that I built for the authentication purposes. If I control click on this, this is the this will take me to this variable, and this variable contains the auth controller variables, all of these lines, these functions, everything that is in the auth controller, this variable auth contains it. After that, there's a size box of 10 that has this space, and after that there's another field which is of password, which has controller auth.password, which is also created in the auth controller, and the obscure text means is hid underscore is hidden. This is hidden returns a true or false value. For example, if I am typing something in this is the obscure text. That means that is hidden is true. But when I tap on this icon, this will trigger this function underscore toggle password view, which will make the is hidden into true to false or false to true. So that means that when the obscure text is false in start, and when it's true, the icon will change into a visibility off icon, and when it's false, it will change into visibility icon, and the text will change into obscure text and simple text. This is the purpose of this class, this onTap function. After that, there's a prefix icon of lock right here, and there's a icon which is of visibility. If the is hidden is false, it will show this icon, and if is hidden is true, it will show this icon. After that, there's a border and label text of password, and after that there's a size box of 20 height. With After that, there's a forgot password text which is tappable. When we tap on this forgot password, you will have to provide your email, and you will go to the forgot password screen. So this text is tappable, and this will go to the forgot password widget. which I've created right here. This is also a reset password screen, and I will go through this whole screen once we get to the forgot password video. So after that, there's a size box and under that size box, there's a elevated button of wrapped in a container of height 35 and width 150, which is this button right here of login button, and it has a border radius of 20 from all sides, and on press, when we press on this function, the state will change to is loading, and when the is loading state is called, there's a circular progress indicator that will be shown, and the function of sign in user with email will be called, which is present in auth variable, which is stored in auth variable, and auth variable contains all the values of auth controller. So if we were to see that what does this function do, we can go to this function and see what is this function currently doing. So sign in user with email takes a string of email and password, and it is going to try to go to the Firebase and sign. The Firebase auth contains a function called sign in with email and password, and you have to pass two parameters of email, which this email will be called or saved the on the email side, and the password key contains the value of the password that we're going to pass. So if there's any error, if this try doesn't work, the error will be printed in a snack bar. Let me demonstrate that. If I didn't, as you can see, I didn't put any email right here, so I'm gonna tap on this, and given string is empty. You see, given string is empty or null. That means that the email is null, and that is why this function will not run. Let's put in some email that is not present. Let's say we put in just a single character of no format, email formatted. So if we do this, the email is badly formatted. As you can see, this error, I didn't put any error. This is just the Firebase is giving me a response that I am just printing on in the snack bar, and the user can see that snack bar error, which is something that the user can understand. If I put in a formatted email and I just log in, see, there is no user record of this email and password. So that means that there is no user of this email in this whole application, or ever created, any user has created this application, their account with these credentials. Sorry for my English, I'm not that good. So after that, this builder will be called. This builder is just containing the loading the circular progress indicator that you see when I tap on this. The login is changed with the circular progress indicator, and on this is being done with this builder. So this builder contains is loading. If is loading is true, there is a circular progress indicator with color white, and if it is false, there is a login text at the middle of here. When will is loading will true? When we tap on it, this will set the state to is loading, and this function will be called, and when this response is received, it will set the state to false. After that, there's a divider which I've created, This divider is just a simple divider that has a divider on the left side and the right side and a text in the middle. This divider is a stateless widget which contains a string headings which is required when we call this divider heading, and it will have a container in a row with space in between, an expanded widget of divider with thickness 1.5. In the center there is a text of heading. This heading will be called when we call this function and type in subheading, and there's another divider um, of thickness which should be 1.5. I don't know why I did write 1. Alright, now these are same. So after this divider there's a padding and there's a text that says sign in with this, and after that there's a icon of Google that I have put in my assets, and a phone icon that is a icon that is present in the Flutter class. So when we tap on Google icon, this one, the function that will be called is sign in with Google, that is in my auth controller class. Let's go see the function. Now this is a future function which contains a parameter of context that I have to provide, and there's a Google sign in variable which is we are going to use. So we are going to try to Google sign in await Google sign in dot sign in. Now this Google sign in is provided by the Firebase function. The Firebase this is a Firebase functionality that is provided by the Firebase to write the code in the shortest form. So after that, if there's a variable of Google authentication, and the Google authentication is taking is storing the Google sign-in authentication into this variable, and there's a auth credential which is providing the Google auth provider dot credential, which will take the access token of the Google sign-in authentication dot access token. This contains the access token of the sign-in authentication. The ID token of the sign-in authentication will be saved in the ID token, and the user credential will be saved in if await use firebase.instance sign in with user, and this credential will be taken from these. All these are stored in this, and if the user is not null, the user model will be called, and in the user model there's name, email address, user ID, and user phone. This is the model class created by myself, and after that you can see the user phone will be empty. User email will be the email of the Google account that they have selected. The user ID will be the UID that I've created, and address will be empty, and the name is the display name of that user account. Now they will try. The function try will call the Firebase Firestore dot instance dot collection. There's a collection in my Firebase doc. So this is the collection of users that is present in my Firebase, and if there is no users collection, there will be a user collection created when this function is called, and in that user collection there will be a doc that will be saved with firebase.instance of the current user that has been selected with UID .toString and .set of user model as map. So this whole line means that when the user will tap on Google sign with Google, and they have shown a dialog box with their Google accounts of their device, and they've selected a a Google account, the credentials of that Google account will be taken into a variable and will be stored into a variable, and they will be saved to a collection of users, and if this collection of user is not created, it will be created, and if it is already there, they will just overwrite it. And in this user collection there will be a doc created with the instance of the current user, the UID of the user, the user model. That means that the user phone, email, ID, address, and name in a map form with key as this email or this UID, and password as and value as the value that has been saved by the user. If this is successful, there will be a snack bar that shows user the success message, and they will be taken to the main page. And if there's an exception, they will be shown an error message. And after that, there's a scaffold and all these lines of code. If there's a Firebase authentication error, then they will be shown a snack bar with this message, and error message will be shown to the user. Let's try this. So when we tap on Google, as you can see that there's a platform exception because the Play Store settings or the settings that we need to use in order to use the Google sign-in, we can't use those in an emulator. So So guys, to demonstrate the Google sign-in, I am using my real device. So this is the login page in my real device. Now I'm going to tap on the Google button, and when I tap on the Google button, you can see the accounts of the Google that I have logged in my project. And when I tap on the first email, it will log in the email, it will make the collection, the document, and it will take me to the home page. As you can see, this is the main page of my project, and that's it. Alright, so let's go and look at this sign up with phone number. So when we tap on this, the sign up with phone number screen will be opened up, and let's show you what is going on when we go to the sign up phone number. On the sign up with phone number, there's a this is also a stateful widget with a focus node variable and a stroke color string where phone number is error visible false, error message that we will be showing a is progress visible also named boolean, that is also false. After that, there's a global key that we have initiated so that to show the user a progress indicator button. And after that, is a init state function that will be called when this screen is opened up. This means that this focus node will be created, and if this blue line will be called as a stroke color that will be used, and the stroke color will be red if there's an error, and the stroke color will be black if there's no error, and we have moved to the next screen. Will pop score, this means that the progress will be visible and it will be false, and focus node will be changed to unfocus. And this function will only be called when we go to the back of the screen, and as you can see the focus is changed and there's a black stroke, and the visibility is false that we have created as true in this function in the int state. So after that, there's a gesture detector which will change the focus to focus, or it will change the focus of the screen to unfocus. For instance, if I tap on this, now the focus is initiated, but when I tap on anywhere on the screen, the focus is change to the unfocus. So there's a back button which will take us to the back screen, and after that there's a text that says enter your phone, we will send you a confirmation code. After that there's a size box, and then there is a box decoration which is rectangular, and the border dot all will be stroke color. Stroke color will be changed when the focus is called, and it will be changed when the focus is changed to the unfocus. And after that there's a text, and which includes the Pakistani code of +92, and after that there's a text field which has the focus node variable as focus node, and on change the function of the value which we will be putting which will be saved in as the phone number, and the state will be changed as the error message. For instance, if we type like this, there's a state of error visible will be false until an error occurs. So after that, this is the letter spacing of 10 with font size as 20. The text input, the keyboard type will be as integer, and there's some other stuff that has been initialized to just decorate the field. So if any error occurs, the error will be shown as the error message. And for instance, let's say I put in next. So this phone number should not be visible. So the request is missing a valid app identifier, the reCAPTCHA checks, and all that. This means that if this number is that I put in, you see this error message, enter a valid number with a stroke of red. So after that there's a responsive state with the next this button. The progress indicator will be shown when we click on it, and when we click on the next, when we tap on this button, the next on click will be called, and they will check if the phone number is null or is empty, or it does not contain the characters. It should not contain any characters more than 10, less than 10 or more than 10. After that, there's, if all of this is true, there will be shown an error message which will say that please provide a valid phone number. And if this is all not true, the send code function will be initiated. The send code function will have the responsive button state will change to a progress state, the progress indicator that will be shown, and the function will be called to verify the phone number. The phone number in this verify phone number function takes a phone number variable which it will send the code to, and if the verification is completed, the phone auth credentials are stored as map and are shown to the are printed here, and after if there's an error, the user will be shown an error, and after that success is created. If the phone number is a valid phone number, the code will be sent to the phone number, and these two variables will be printed, and the state will be changed to the normal state of the responsive button. The next button that disappeared when the loading sign appeared will be changed to the next text, and the loading sign will disappear, and after that this function will be completed, and the verification timeout is when the timeout is initiated, there's a 30-second or 40-second timeout. So after that, we will go to the verification. So now we just gonna put my cell phone number right here, and it is going to be like this. Then I'm going to just tap on next. So this will take the verification. This will send a phone number, a text message to my cell phone number, and it will, if the message that I've received is correct, I'm just going to put in some random numbers, and I'm going to show you that. As you can see, this the error occurred right here, but the user is not shown with the error. So I am just going to send in another code request, and I know there should be a error to show to the user, but I just didn't write the scaffold or something like that. So the new code is 381743. This is the new code, and I'm just going to tap on next, and I will be taken to the home screen. So after that, this sign up with phone, there's a this is the whole sign up with phone function, and when this sign up phone number verification screen is called, this is the stateful widget that has the verification ID and the phone number. And after that, all of these focus nodes, and these are all the same long lines of code that have been written in the sign up with phone.dart class. And after that, there's a back button. We have sent a 6-digit code, and we have to type the code. This code will be saved in the SMS code value that we put in the text field, and the focus node will change if there's any error. And after that, when we press on the next button, the verify code function will be called, and the verify code function will have a this will change the state to the progress state, and the loading function, that the loading in the progress indicator that you saw when I clicked on the verify button. And after that, there's a phone provider dot credential credential, and it will take the verification ID and SMS code as the parameters. And again, this function is provided by the Firebase itself. As you can see, that sign in with credential contains this function. So the firebase.auth.sign in with credential, and the credentials are for phone auth.provider.credential, which contains the parameter of these two. So when this function is called, and if there's any error, the function will be changed. The state of the focus node will be changed to the red color, and the error is shown. And if there's no error, the user will be taken to the main page, and the user will be shown the data of the user will be stored to the collection of the users that we have right here. So the phone number will be stored, the user ID will be stored, and it will be stored in the collection of users, and the doc or will be created, which will be of user ID, and it will set the user model as map, and the user model only contains the user ID and phone number. All the other fields will be empty. Alright guys, that's it for the login page, and soon in the next video I will be talking about the sign up screen, and I will try to be as fast as possible. You don't know that I have a full-time job, I have actually two jobs and I'm doing both simultaneously. I work in a company as a Flutter developer in the daytime and then in a company also as a Flutter developer at night. So that is why it takes a few. It took me a lot of time to record this video and upload it, but soon I will be as fast as possible. I could have just created a tutorial video with a link to so that you can all just go and buy the source code and you can just put the source code in your application and use it as your application and just um, I will I didn't have to record any videos, but I am doing all these. I'm going through the recording scenario just to make sure that you guys understand the code and as far as the understanding is concerned, I am trying my best to make you guys understand. I am not going to go through the functions or the classes as a intermediate tutorial, as a Flutter beginner tutorial. I'm just assuming that you guys know a little bit about uh, Firebase and all of these container and UI in front end and back end. And if you don't understand anything, just let me know. And all these functions that have been called, all these functions are provided by the Firebase. And if you don't initialize your Firebase, if you don't create an account on Firebase and you don't create a project and you don't put in the JSON product, the steps, you don't follow the steps that the Firebase is asking, then all these functions, this code is nothing but just a UI, and none of the functionalities will work. So I would recommend that you guys go through some videos or some vlogs that will give you some idea of how this whole Firebase works with Flutter, how to initialize Firebase, how to integrate Firebase with Flutter, how to create a project on Firebase, what is a collection, what is a document, what is sign in with Google, what are the authentication methods that are provided by Google. All of these, just go and do your research. And if still you don't understand something, just tell me. I will try to make a tutorial with Firebase and try to give you some idea of Firebase. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you like the video. Try to share it, like it, and I will try as soon as possible, as much as possible. I will try to give you some videos. I will try to continue this whole project, and I will try my best to give you my best as a YouTuber. These are a few first of the few videos that I've created, so I hope you like these. Thank you.